Okay.
But don't mess up the format of your show. I'm just saying. I mean,
no, but I'll go around and like interview people that enter.
Right. You told me we want. It's time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Bill Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. On the road tonight in beautiful Aiken, South Carolina. We are at the Wings Place.
Wing Place, singular.
The Wing Place for Wings.
Yes.
Here in Aiken. Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, Professor Tom Hayes back at our studios in downtown Columbia. We are here for the annual Border Bash between USC and Georgia. Any Georgia fans in the house?
Nobody wanted the Brave to go across the border.
I thought this was an opportunity to bring Gamecock fans and Georgia fans together in some, a time for reflection.
Maybe the Georgia fans are scared, Corn.
You think they're running scared of the Gamecocks?
I tell you what, I listened to a little bit of Kirby Smart earlier today, and he doesn't sound like this team is a 22.5-point underdog. He thinks they're in for a good ball game.
Well, I think they are in for a good ball game.
As do I.
And if you were smart, you would grab those points, because I think if the Gamecocks were to lose, they're going to lose within the margin of defeat there. So,
well, not only that, but I think that line is going to maybe die down a little bit as the week goes on, because you'll start to see some Carolina money come in, and I think the folks in the desert might pull that point total a little bit down.
All right, our phone number here tonight on Sports Talk as we come to you from Aiken, 800-956-7266. Our email talkback@sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter @SportsTalkSC. We are here in conjunction with our longtime affiliate in the Aiken-Johnston area, Oldies 92.7 WKSX. What a great radio station that has been for a long, long time. Frank Davis is here from WKSX. Tony Bowman is here as well. We welcome them into the crowd tonight to join us here for Sports Talk. Any of the folks who are here tonight who want to come up and join us to talk about the ball game and how you think it's going to roll on Saturday in Athens. I mean, seriously, Gamecock fans, and this is mostly a Gamecock crowd here. In fact, I think it's almost totally a Gamecock.
I would say there was mostly Gamecock. We did see one Clemson fan.
Yes, sir. And he's got a family relative at Clemson who wanted to say hey to us, so that's kind of why he is here. Unless he's here just to rip the Gamecocks as well. There he is, sitting way back there in the back with the tiger paw.
I think he's got security detail around him, too.
You can see that tiger paw from 100 yards away. But if you want to
Sticks out
come
like
up
a sore thumb,
and join us and tell us why you think your Gamecocks are going to win on Saturday, we're open for all kinds of opinions and observations.
We have an open mic, and I don't think we did this in any of our other remotes, but I think we have enough interest from folks here tonight who might want to come up here and be a part of the show. And the thing that I look more and more at this contest, Corn, and I think about the fact that South Carolina, I don't want to say they're peaking, but they're trending upward. And they've improved each of their last couple of ball games. They had the amazing offensive performance against Arkansas. They had a very, very tough road victory against Tennessee. And then you go out and you play a Vanderbilt team that you know what they don't do well, and you take a full advantage of that when you have a 212-yard rushing attack from that offensive football team, and also from A.J. Turner, who was running about as hard as anybody we've seen for South Carolina all year.
And let's don't forget, I have to say this word quietly, but Clemson is getting ready for NC State this weekend in Raleigh. That should be a heck of a ball game. We'll hear from Mylan Richard of the Tigers, a tight end who scored his first career touchdown. We'll also hear from Gamecock quarterback Jake Bentley. Also, Dabo Sweeney and Brent Venables both are meeting with the media after practice today up at Clemson, so we'll pass along any notes. By the way, I was talking to a good source of mine this afternoon, and he was telling me about Debo Samuel. And, again, it's all up to Debo as to when he feels he's 100% ready to go and ready to come back. But this individual was telling me that there's a possibility he could be back for the Florida game next week.
No.
Yeah. Possibility. But, again, it's up to him, depending on how he feels in conjunction with his doctors. And when they tell him, hey, you're good to go whenever you feel like you're ready to go. And he obviously is feeling a lot better. You know, he's He was at the game Saturday. He has not been walking with any sort of assistance, not with any kind of a limp or anything like that.
That's the thing. You know, going into last week, and again, think about where the bye week was and what Will Muschamp said about him going into the bye week. He basically said he's not walking with any kind of limp, like you said. If you looked at him face to face, you wouldn't necessarily know he has an injury. And he's walking on it. There is no cast on his leg anymore. The only thing that he hasn't done, at least to our knowledge yet, is test that leg running at full strength and running the way he is. And the only thing that I would say, at least, that you do not want to see is him come back too soon and aggravate that injury even more, because that not only can spell doom for him, but also spell doom for his NFL prospects as well. And we want to see, of course, him at full strength at soon as possible.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Gamecocks could really use a healthy Deebo Samuel down the stretch of the season. He was so productive in terms of getting them in the end zone in the first 3 games that he was able to play, 2.5 games. What do you have, 5 touchdowns?
He did.
In those first couple of games?
He's great on special teams, and he also provides an element of the offense that you just can't get with another player on the Gamecock squad. I mean, we talked a lot about what Ortre Smith and Shi Smith have done for them, and also Brian Edwards at the receiver position. But they only make Deebo. The Deebo Samuels don't grow on trees. They don't necessarily come along too often. He's a generational type talent, and as soon as the Gamecocks can get him back, it will only enhance their chances down the stretch.
All right, 800-956-7266. Our email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. We're at the Wing Place on East Pine Streets in Aiken. It's the Border Bash, an annual gathering of Gamecocks and maybe a few Bulldogs who trickle in here as the evening goes on. But folks are here eating and listening to us, and we'll be talking to them. We got some great gifts to give away. We have basketballs commemorating USC's run to the Final Four. So we've got those to give away. And we have got some footballs commemorating the Atlanta Falcons.
Anybody an Atlanta Falcon fan over here?
You need to, if you're here in the audience, you got to fill out a little form here. We'll pull some winners as we go through the night. These things are great. If you haven't had a chance to see them, the football comes.
I'll bring it out here.
Yeah, in its own little case. It's really neat. And the basketball is round and bounces. And just got a
here's the basketball right here.
Got a panel there you can get autographs on and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and as you look at the respective balls here, they've got the schedule on there imprinted. A season to remember, shows you the results of all the games. Stuff. We'll give these away as we move on through the program tonight. All right, Professor Tom Hayes is back at our studios in downtown Columbia. Let's don't forget, Pro, we do have. And we love Game 7s. We got a Game 7 in the World Series tonight.
Yeah, that's interesting. McCullers will go against Yu Darvish. It'll be interesting to see who lasts past the 3rd inning. The way these guys can hit, since they had an anemic amount of runs last night, 3-1 victory for the Dodgers, we may see an explosion tonight as far as that's concerned. I know they got the starters back there ready. It's Johnny Holstaff. But there's something about a starter coming in to relieve that they don't have the same stuff as when they take the mound for the opening pitch. So I think this may be a slugfest tonight.
The thing about Dave Roberts is that he has had such a short leash on his starters not named Kershaw, and everyone keeps talking about Kershaw coming back on short rest and pitching in Game 7. You know, in my mind, Corn, that almost might be something that could play to a disadvantage, because you're not going to get the same Kershaw, even though he'll be probably, throwing his arm out, because the offseason is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. In my mind, advantage Houston, because I think their bats are up to the task, at least from that perspective.
I'm going with the Dodgers. The home field, in the playoffs has been so important. I think about the Yankees going back to Houston up 3-2, and they lose 2 games and don't make it to the World Series. Same scenario here. Houston leading 3-2, needing 1 win in L.A. They get beat last night. The crowd, I mean, listen, it does carry that home team and help to lift you up, especially in those tight situations. And, Kershaw, his comment was, "Hey, I can go 27 innings tonight if necessary."
Oh, so I don't know if
I to let him do that.
It's all hands on deck.
They said this last night on the broadcast, in the entire history of Dodger Stadium, they have never hosted a Game 7 in any series whatsoever. So it's the first time for them, and it'll be a very interesting situation tonight in L.A.
It's going to be a lot of fun. 800-956-7266. Sports Talk, from the Wing Place in Aiken tonight. We'll be right back.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
We are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. From the Wing Place in Aiken, the exact address, 738 East Pine Log Road here in Aiken. I actually found it without, only missed it once. Had to go around the block.
Oh, I did the same thing.
Yeah, I missed the initial turn-in, but was able to find it. 800-956-7266. That's our phone number here on Sports Talk if you want to join in on the conversation. Phil Kornbluth here in Aiken with our good friends here at the Border Bash, Gamecock fans and a Tiger fan and maybe a Georgia fan slipping in the back door. Who knows? Everybody here is getting ready for Georgia and South Carolina on Saturday afternoon in Athens. Georgia now the #1 team in the country via the college football playoff and the poll that came out last night. So the Gamecocks have the first crack at upsetting the apple cart as far as the CFP is concerned. The question is, or the questions are, what do they have to do, and can they play well enough within their game plan to pull off what would be a monumental upset as a 22, 23-point underdog?
Well, the key is you're going to have to make Georgia play one-dimensional football. That's obviously you're going to have to make Jake Fromm be the man that beats you, and you'll have to stuff the box, 7 or 8 in the box. And it's interesting. Kirby Smart was saying earlier today that if they put any more in the box, you'll have to leave somebody uncovered. So, in at least from the opposition standpoint, they've basically seen full boxes the entire year when trying to have Sony Michel and Nick Chubb run against, or at least run against those boxes. So in that regard, you're looking at a lot of different people who are going to try and figure out any particular way to beat Georgia and beat them at their best. So you're going to have Jake Fromm throw the football. If you force him to be the one to try and beat you, then maybe the Gamecocks can do a little something. And the thing that we were talking about yesterday, and Pro made a very good point, is that you need to be able to punch Georgia in the mouth early. And if you get them to the second half with an attainable margin, whether it's up top or at least coming from behind, the Gamecocks have proven this year they're a second-half football team. There's only one game this year where they really kind of broke down in the second half. The two losses they broke down in the second half, those were Kentucky and Texas A&M. But other than that, they've been a better second-half team than they've been a first-half team in the 6 of the games they played. Yeah, in fact, I think in the third quarter in particular, the Gamecocks have scored a lot of their points and outscored their opposition, which is why decisively in the third quarter. And everything you're saying, I would defer.
Yeah, everything that that's
why I would defer.
But I just think that if the Gamecocks win the toss and have a chance to get the ball first and kind of set the tone, Pro, for this game, I'm not so sure I wouldn't take the football and at the very least see if you can get a drive going, eat some clock. If you don't score, at least give Georgia a long field to work with, and then hope that your defense can prevent the big running plays that Georgia has been relying on all season long.
Well, I think a couple lessons you have to learn is South Carolina, I think, Corn, from a mental standpoint, broke down mentally at Texas A&M because of the offensive line shake-up with the injuries. I think they're better able to handle that from the neck up now, and they will face some adversity. I think that's the key to learn some lessons from that Texas A&M game where you had the lead. Also, I think probably if they win the toss, I take the football, because if I'm Muschamp and company, I have sat down and I've got a script of the plays I want to run initially against Georgia, and what better way to pull out that script than to start the football game. I think in a football game like this, anytime Georgia does not have the ball is a good thing, because that means you can play the offense. But I think South Carolina's best defense in this football game, guys, is keeping their offense on the field and the huge stat, third down conversion.
I would rather drive the first drive of the second half when most of those Georgia Bulldog fans are in the restroom or trying to find their nearest alcohol versus having them all
that would be right down at their feet. They'll have it in their little
I'd rather
containers.
I'd rather
just like the Gamecock fans.
I'd rather do that than get them on the first drive of the game when they're all lathered up and smelling blood. I'd rather take that first drive of the second half, set the tone there, and get yourself a chance to get back in a football game that you might be down.
Well, Georgia may expect to be have a big lead by the first half. You may not make it to the second half.
All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Let's go to the phones. And Randy, who's just across the river from us in Augusta. Randy, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Thanks, guys. I'm doing great, and I hope all of you are. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was born in Augusta, and so was my brother, but we actually live in Beach Island, so I know you guys know where that is.
Indeed.
Now I'm in Beach Island. Now I'm in Charleston, and my brother is the Georgia fan. I'm the Carolina Gamecock fan, and I hope he does okay too. But I'm pulling for the Gamecocks. And my hope for Carolina is that their confidence level. I think that's very, very important for them. If they can maintain that confidence level, then you stay in the game. You got to take it into the game and keep it in you. Just like you guys were saying, it's above the neck. A lot of it is played above the neck. So hopefully it's a good game, and Carolina shows them some stuff. I was originally going to call, and I'll let you guys go, on the World Series. Mm-hmm. It's being played on Dodger home turf, but it's a baseball diamond. Same stuff applies wherever you are, and they can celebrate it right there on that same baseball field. So just like in football, the 13th man, yes, there's a little edge there with the home team. I don't think that's really going to matter a whole lot. They're professionals. I think they're hungry. They're eager to bring one back to their town. So I'm going with Houston tonight, and hopefully that the 10th man doesn't matter tonight. So I'll leave it with that with you guys, and you guys are great. I really enjoy listening to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, listen, in baseball, of course, there's only one man that really matters. It's the man on the mound. But emotion and fan support in any sport is important. And we'll see. I mean, listen, Houston is certainly good enough and has proven time and again that it can win anywhere, anytime, especially the way the baseball's been flying out in the postseason. So we'll see if that happens here. And thank you for calling. I always like to say when somebody calls in from Beach Island, Beach Island, where there is no beach and there is no island. So I don't know why they call it Beach Island.
It's interesting.
Just sort of sits out there near I think it's a formation from the nuclear plant over there or something. Something was created from the radiation or something. But you were going to say something?
I can't.
You got Wang Wang shrimp in front of you. You got your Wang Wang over here.
I'm not going there.
Help yourself.
I'm not going to eat while I'm on the air. I will eat it.
I'll be happy to eat, and you can talk. Works for me.
You can eat.
Because we do need some napkins.
Yes, we do need some napkins. That's the thing. Napkins. We do need some napkins. I did want to say something about the playoff from yesterday. Yes. And this was interesting. The more and more I think about this, the more and more I think, despite the fact that you have the justification of Clemson having those 6 victories over teams with winning records, the 2 victories over teams in the college football playoff, I'm not so sure I would have put Clemson 6th. And here's why.
You said you're not so sure you wouldn't have put Clemson 6th.
That's what I'm saying. I would have thought that they would have been 6th behind Oklahoma and Ohio State because I just don't see the justification with the loss to Syracuse. They've got the worst loss on their on the schedule amongst those top 6 teams.
Yeah, but they also have a schedule. They have a strength. Alabama's got the weakest schedule of the top 4.
They might not have
by a long shot, but they're Alabama, so they automatically get to be number 1.
Well, it's weird because the one thing the committee does say is they say that they only take you in this season only. They don't look at historical metrics.
Bull.
That's garbage, in my opinion.
Yeah, because they're human beings. I mean. Even Condoleezza Rice, when she was on the committee, she was a human. She wasn't a robot. They all have feelings. And, they're influenced by, what they see and Alabama gets the benefit of the doubt. Doesn't matter who they've played to this point. Let's face it, they hadn't really played anybody to this point, but they're going to have to prove themselves a little bit moving forward.
You're going to have to try one of these shrimp.
Oh, you are eating while we're on the air. Okay.
I just wanted to do it.
Broke your own rule.
While we're in the bumper,
We will come back with more of your phone calls. 800-956-7266 from The Wing Place in Aiken.
The big guys are up next. Corey Miller and Will Merritt. It's the M&M Boys. This is Sports Talk.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from Aiken tonight at the Wing Place, and we've got the M&M Boys coming up in just a second. We want to have our first giveaway of the night. The lovely Molly from Learfield is with us.
Do you want to give away one of the basketballs first, or do you want to give away one of the footballs first?
Y'all
guys?
make that decision. What do you want first, a football
you
or a
want
basketball?
the Falcon football or the basketball first?
They want the hoops. Give them the hoops. They want the hoops?
They want the hoops. Okay. We will give away one of these basketballs.
Let Molly pull a winner here.
Go ahead, Molly. Go ahead and give us a winner here.
First winner of the night gets a USC men's basketball.
Doreen Haupt. Are you in the house, Doreen?
All right. Congratulations.
Do you love the Gamecocks? I hope you do. She's got a Gamecock shirt on.
I think everybody here probably loves the Gamecocks, except for one guy with the tiger paw. Other than that, I think it's all Gamecocks. Let's welcome in a couple of, well, they're not both Gamecocks. One's a Gamecock, one is a Tiger. Thank you, Miss Molly. We appreciate that. It's time for the M&M Boys here on Sports Talk. Will Merritt, who doesn't love the Gamecocks, and Corey Miller, who does love the Gamecocks. They join us here to talk about last weekend and what is ahead for their teams this coming weekend. Corey, we'll begin with you. You should be here with us. You'd be amongst friends here in Aiken. Corey?
Here, can you hear me?
I hear you now.
I don't know. I'm having a problem here.
Corey always seems to have phone issues.
What
doesn't he?
a smooth transition. We got to get you. Will, we got to get him off that back phone, right?
Did Corey just say he has problems? I mean, God, that's the understatement of the day.
All right, we're going to start with Will since his phone's working. Corey, get your stuff together. We'll come back to you in a second. Will, your thoughts about Clemson starting out fourth in the college football playoff ranking? Agree or disagree?
Well, obviously, I'm going to agree with it. And by the way, when you asked Corey that first question and it was silence, that's the best he's ever sounded. Let me just tell you right now that, listen, it doesn't surprise me that they were number 4. I was asked on a radio interview yesterday if I thought they would be in the top 4, and I said no. So it doesn't surprise me that they were. I thought they would be 5th. But I think that everybody's going to take it, man. You're glad to be there. I know they say this ranking doesn't matter, but at the same time, it matters to a degree because you don't have to do any extra work to get into the playoffs. Now you know that if you win out, you're there. Nobody's going to leapfrog the Tigers if they continue to win. So I do think it matters to some degree, but, all that could be for naught if you go up to Raleigh and lose this weekend.
Are you as concerned about Georgia Tech, about NC State as you were about Georgia Tech? Because you had a lot of trepidation going into Georgia Tech week. What are your thoughts on this Wolfpack ball club, Will?
Well, I like this team before the season started. I liked them during the season. Corey tried to make last week like it was no big deal for Kelly Bryant to be hurt or to be healthy. I think we saw the difference in a healthy Kelly Bryant against Georgia Tech. And you've got a healthy Kelly Bryant again going into NC State. The thing that bothers me a little bit is the fact that we got 2 DBs that are out, and NC State obviously throws the ball significantly better than Georgia Tech does, and I think that's an understatement. But why am I worried about this game? I'm worried about it for 2 reasons. One, you're on the road. It will be the game that NC State can spoil Clemson's season. And number 2, I think NC State is a senior-laden team. I mean, this is a group that I think they start 17 or 18 seniors, redshirt seniors and seniors. So, I mean, this is a very veteran ball club, and this is a Clemson team that really only has just a handful of seniors that they play. So you're talking about a maturity level on the field, but I think talent level-wise, Clemson is superior, and that's why they'll win the ball game.
All right, let's try Corey. Corey, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, we hear you.
Yeah, I heard you the
nice
first
and
time.
clean.
It's on your end. I'm on a landline, buddy. I'm at Watch Fox, so it wasn't my phone. It's on your end. But go ahead. I can hear you now.
That's it. Pass the buck.
Why does Corey have to get on me like that?
Pass the buck. All right, let's talk about the Gamecocks, Corey. Heading to Georgia this weekend, coming off that win over Vanderbilt. First of all, how would you characterize the win over Vanderbilt? Did you like a lot of what you saw, or do you think the Gamecocks just got by?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna characterize any win as a great win. I've never heard of a bad win. But you know, looking at the game, I did not like what I saw defensively. I didn't see the defensive line play up to the level I thought they should have played based on prior weeks. They didn't get any sacks this ball game. Sherman had plenty of time to throw the ball in the pocket. The secondary didn't play its best football. Folks decided to take a trip and lay out and get some sun on the island, Fenton Island, so to speak. And so that kind of worried me a little bit. But again, they found a way to win in the end. The offense is good. They did something I've been preaching, guys, for a long time. Jake Bentley pulling the ball and running it, making that defense play disciplined football, those ends especially. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, first career rushing touchdown. So overall, they got the win. They did what they needed to do to become bowl eligible before November. Now you go on the road to face the #1 team in the country in the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, who knows? Even though I know they're 24.5-point underdog, but you go down there and just play the game and see what happens. And I think they're in pretty good shape.
Corey, answer me this, because I know that he's had better statistical games, but the so-called fancy stats seem to indicate that this was the best Jake Bentley performance of the season. And at least with my eyes, he looked about as consistent in this contest from the start of it to the end of it that he's looked all season, in my mind. How do you feel?
I agree with you. I think he played great in this football. I think you just giving him those runs, letting him get loose in the open field, allowed him to be more comfortable in the pocket throwing the football, and he's growing up. There's no doubt. I think next year Jake will be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He has that ability, and I think he did a good job of really managing the game and doing what he needed to do, not putting the team in harm's way, not turning the ball over. So he's doing a great job in doing that, and he's got some players stepping up. Another guy that I wanted to see step up, Shai Smith. Stepped up on Saturday. So, they got weapons. They still got to use Hayden Hurst a little bit more. We saw A.J. Turner. He's had a career day rushing the football, and you saw why Will Muschamp likes him, even though he's 190 pounds, guys. I mean, this guy gets north-south downhill very quickly and runs with some power. And so we saw a lot of good things. I saw a lot of great things from Jake, and even from Kurt Roper, who I've been very hard on from the play calling standpoint. I thought he called a better game and doing some of the things he needed to do early on in the season, which is, that zone read, letting Jake run the football.
All right, it's the M&M boys with us here on Sports Talk. Corey Miller, the former Gamecock standout, and Will Merritt, of course, with the Clemson Tigers, former Tiger lineman. Will, before we ask you another question, we have a message to you from all the Gamecock fans here in Aiken at the Wing Place. You guys have a message for Will Merritt of Clemson? Yeah. You're very popular among the Garnet and Black, Will. Very popular.
Oh, I'm sure I would be about as popular as a skinny kid in the Twinkie factory down there.
Hey, Will,
I like that one.
I came up to your backyard 2 weeks ago at a church, all Dabo Swinney Church, all in church. Preached a sermon, so. I said, well, the Lord knows what he's doing. He's sending his son, his child, and preach Jesus to folks that need it up there. So, you just got to do it sometimes.
Wait a minute. You were preaching the gospel at the Church of Dabo?
The Church of Dabo, the theme was all in up at a church in Anderson, right down the road from Clemson, and all Clemson fans. And they said, we were really hesitant at first because we were a Gamecock, but when the word got flowing, they really loved what was said.
Well, he might have been preaching. He might have been preaching the gospel on Sunday, but he sure doesn't preach it on Wednesday night. That's for sure.
I preach it on Wednesday. I'm about ready to preach it in a minute when Phil asks me about this ranking.
Is it sacrilegious to boo somebody in a church?
Go ahead and allow me to rank in volleyball so I can spike it on Will's head. That's what I'm getting ready to do.
Hey man, you don't get into heaven or hell for who you pull for. But I'll tell you what, Corey Miller can sure preach the word. I've heard him preaching. That man knows how to lay it down.
I got a palace. I got a mansion waiting on me.
Yeah, Will doesn't have a collar, but he preaches pretty well as well.
Oh, yeah.
When he wants to talk the Tiger gospel. All right, hang on, guys. Hang on. We'll come back to you. Got a break coming up. We'll have more with the M&M boys, Will Merritt and Corey Miller here on Sports Talk from Aiken. We'll be right back.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network with the M&M boys, Will Merritt and Corey Miller. We are at the Wing Place here in Aiken.
They've been coached over here, I think. They've been coached
so?
up by Tony Bauman over there.
They've been promised some wang-wang if they just speak up a little bit and be loud, some wang-wang shrimp. We are promised wang-wang shrimp for everybody. No! All right, back to Will and Corey, and let's go to Will. Kelly Bryant looked.
First and last time. You come to me.
He wants. Corey wants to opine about the ranking.
Hang on a sec. We're going to come to you, but let Will just talk about Kelly Bryant, how he looked to him out there in the rain the other night, and now moving forward to NC State. Be calm, Corey. We'll come to you. Will, Kelly Bryant, your hero.
Well, I mean, he's not my hero, but I mean, I will say this: it was nice having a healthy quarterback back. I was down on the sidelines, for the game Saturday night, and he looked healthy in warm-ups, and then that translated directly into the ball game. I mean, he just made really good decisions, and but Kelly Bryant didn't have to do a whole lot, guys. I mean, he was efficient with the football, made good decisions, and didn't put the ball on the ground in a wet weather game. But you got to think about it. Half of Georgia Tech plays. Now, get this. Half of their plays went for 0 or negative yards. So Kelly Bryant was working with good field position. Paul Johnson had to punt the ball more than he's ever punted in the history of Georgia Tech football. And so Kelly Bryant really kind of had just a manageable game, if you will. So I thought it was a really good game for him to be able to come back with field position, had his weapons back full speed ahead, manage the game very efficiently. If he does that and that defense plays like they do, that's a pretty good winning combination.
All right, Pastor. You've promised the pain. Can you deliver it on your thoughts regarding the college football playoff first set of rankings?
Let the folks in the wing church in there shout amen and preach pastor real quick. I need to hear you because let me just tell you something. Clemson being ranked number 4 in the country is the biggest fraud that I ever seen. How can you lose to an unranked team and be ranked number 4 in the country? I don't want to hear no excuses about their quarterback didn't play the second half. I went back today and watched the game. They were losing while Kelly Bryant was in there playing and playing very healthy, by the way. By the way, Clemson never had a lead in the game, so they want to use that as an excuse. You lose to an unranked team that you never even had a lead. What about the defense giving up 27 points? Kelly Bryant don't play defense the last I saw. So them being ranked is a huge mistake. But don't worry, folks. They're going to be out of the top 4 after this week after they lose to the best team in the ACC, by the way, which South Carolina has already beat. And how can North Carolina State be ranked in front of South Carolina, who they took to the woodshed the first game of the year? And they're 6-2 as well. This is what they need to do, this committee. Put it on, set the building on fire and tell everybody to go home. Dan Radakovich, they got Bobby Johnson, 2 Clemson guys, by the way. You think they got a little handshaking going on, but there's no way the Clemson Tigers should be a top 4 team. And I'm so sick and tired of ESPN, all the Dabo lovers and friends out there. Oh, the quarterback was hurt. Listen, I played football for a long time, and everybody played the freaking game of football hurt. Nobody's 100% on the time of this year.
Well,
River, they're not the number 4 team in the country.
You weren't a quarterback, okay? You weren't a quarterback. You can't play quarterback on a bad ankle. You can play linebacker on a bad ankle.
Look at his stats before he got hurt. I think he had a pretty good completion ratio going on in that ball game. So don't tell me that the ankle. If you play football, you play hurt. That's the bottom line, and it had nothing to do with that freaking game. And they get a pass.
To be honest, Corey,
don't get a pass because the other team that they predicted to win the ACC, Florida State, is straight garbage.
To be fair, Corey. Corey, to be fair, the ankle didn't take him out of the football game. The helmet shot to the ground took him out of the football game.
And I know because the ankle's hurt, he couldn't escape that, right? I heard that too. But, listen, this is a good football team. Nobody's taking that away from it, but it's ridiculous that they are ranked number 4. Everybody want to count the 2 top 15 victories, and nobody else in the country has those. but Iowa State. I mean, really, Auburn's lost 2 games, lost down the road to LSU in the SEC when they were in the West. I mean, come on, man. Burn up this committee because obviously they have zero clue of what they're doing. I don't even buy it. Let them play the game out. We're going to make an excuse about the quarterback was hurt. Well, everybody in freaking America that plays college football, let them use that excuse because some week somebody is hurt. Okay? Iowa State's playing with a backup quarterback. They still won against 2 top 15 teams. Georgia's playing with a backup quarterback. Mr. Fromm, they're undefeated, ranked #1 in the country. But because the poor old Tigers, their guy was beat up, let's give them a pass and go by the top 2 victories of top 15 schools, and they probably won't even finish in the top 25 by the season's over. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
All right. So we got your opinion on that. So let's go to this week.
And it's very strong.
It's a strong opinion. I hear your opinion. We'll see if it holds up. But what about this week, Corey? USC, Georgia. You need to focus on that. Don't eat up the rest of the time because Will's got to talk about NC State. The Gamecocks, they got a chance? Can they win? Don't give me the fact that, everybody's got a chance. Do they have a real chance to win Saturday?
A real chance? Absolutely. I don't think they're going to win. I'm a realistic person. Georgia's a good football team. They have to, they got to stop the run. They got like 3 of the best backs in the country. And the quarterback, they threw it 7 times against Florida last week. I mean, you got to be able to stop the run. I think they can, but they're going to have a heck of a ball game. They're going to shut the running game down, make Jake Fromm beat you with his arm, and they're going to have to be successful on offense. I mean, they're going to have to run the ball themselves because I think their best defense will be their running game, controlling the clock and limit the possessions of Georgia's offense. If they do that and ball bounces strange ways sometimes, you can win football games. I'm never going to say they can't win it. It's going to be very difficult for them to win it. But, hey, you know what? They still got a slim chance. If they can find a miracle between the hedges.
All right, Will, Clemson going to Raleigh. Listen, NC State should have beat Clemson last year, right? We all agree on that, okay? They missed a field goal. Tigers caught a break, and they went ahead and took advantage of it. Did lose to Pitt, but rebounded from that. So this time in Raleigh, are the Tigers going to escape the upset?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they'll win the ball game because I think they're more talented than NC State, and this is a football team that won 21 of their last 23 on the road. And I mean, this is a team that knows how to travel and knows how to win. They're going up. I mean, Riley's a good quarterback. We know that. He'll test our secondary. I don't think NC State has enough weapons to be able to outscore us. I do think Clemson's defense is playing with a swagger right now. Saturday night looked like they had more fun on the defensive side of the ball than I've seen in a long time offensively. It looks like the running game is coming around to be a very good complement to their downfield passing game and on their stretch and go routes and some of the stuff they like to do. I really think that Hunter Renfro's going to have a breakout game. I think you'll see a lot more third and medium, third and short that Clemson has seen this year because I think NC State's defense is good enough to put them in that situation. I think third down conversions will be the key for Clemson, keeping drives alive, but I do think that Clemson will go up there. They have a lot to play for, guys. They know that they are in the playoffs. If they continue to play well, there's a certain psyche that comes along with that, and I believe you'll see some of their best football Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon, rather. And I do believe Clemson will win the game and continue to march on for trying to play for a 3rd consecutive national championship.
Hey, real quick, Will, 10 seconds. Do you think you'll ever live to see the Gamecocks in the playoffs?
I hope not. But
I got to do that.
If I die young, then no. If I live a very long time, there's a possibility, but I don't see it in the near future. Let's put it that way.
Corey, how many years off of the Gamecocks from the playoffs? You got about 20 seconds.
It can happen. I think it'll wear Muschamp the way he recruits. It will happen, and they're very close to right now. And yes, Will, I'm praying that you live to see it because I can't wait to get on this air and beat you over the head with it.
All right, guys. We thank you very much once again, the M&M boys, Corey Miller.
Always imitated, never duplicated.
And Will Merritt with us here on Sports Talk. We'll be back. Wing Place in Aiken.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We're at the Wing Place in Aiken. Folks are still coming in. It's the Border Bash, basically bashing Georgia here tonight. You Gamecock fans, have you got a message for Georgia fans out there you want to send across the river to Athens? Yeah, everybody's fired up for the Gamecocks here tonight. I saw another Clemson man walk in the house. That's a brave soul sitting back there. We got 2 of them now. Brave soul.
Had to double our security detail now.
And what's he wearing on? What does that say on your hat? I think it says. Does it say national champ? Is that what it says? Say national champ?
I thought it says champions on it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Tiger fans are proud.
They're proud, aren't they?
All right. The Gamecocks will get theirs.
Sure.
They're going to get. Look, I think 2018, in all seriousness, and kind of playing off what Corey was saying, but look at this Gamecock football team. If they can get a break and have Debo come back for another year. Let's say Hayden Hurst decides to come back for another year. Don't know one way or the other what he's planning. I know he's an older guy. Maybe he wants to get on with his pro career. But if you can get those kind of guys to come back with a junior at quarterback, all those other skill position players, you don't have to replace much on the offensive line, but get better on the offensive line. You don't lose too much off the defense. I think 2018 could be the year, especially – in an SEC East, that's definitely going to be a major transition.
Well, the thing about it is, too, you wonder about what's happening at quarterback beyond Jake Bentley. Of course, you think about DeCarrion Jr. coming in next year. That's going to be a very big battle, despite how great Bentley has been this year.
I don't know. I think DeCarrion's going to have to come in and be coached up in the passing game. I mean, he is a great athlete. There's no question about it. But from everybody that I've talked to who have seen him play, he's still got some work to do in the passing game. And look, Kelly Bryant went from a guy who you didn't expect could throw the football to a very good passer.
Well, the East is going to be for the taking because both those senior running backs, Chubb and Michelle, gone after next year. And it's not like you're going to expect a lot out of Florida. You're not going to expect a lot out of Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee. All these other schools will probably have new coaches too. Kentucky, same thing. I mean, the East is for the taking next year. And I think South Carolina is the only school that, quite frankly, is on an upward enough incline to be able to make that happen.
A lot of people are feeling good about the Gamecocks. And regardless of what happened Saturday in Athens, look, they could go in there and upset the Bulldogs, or they could get run out of Athens. They still have a chance to have a great year based on what was expected. You beat Florida. That's going to be the key swing game. You cannot afford to lose at home to Florida. You beat Florida. You beat Wofford. That's 8 wins, and I think that is better than what most people thought going into the season. And then you have your rivalry game with Clemson, and then your bowl game. You could get to 9 wins with this team before it's all said and done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Hank in Columbia. We've got recruiting coming up for you in a little bit. We've got more T-shirts to give away. Thank you to Sunshine, Jim and Anita Hanna, Wofford Terriers, for providing the T-shirts everybody's getting here tonight. Everybody getting a T-shirt? Is everybody getting a T-shirt? Not everybody's getting a T-shirt. If we draw your name along with the football and the basketball, we'll give you a T-shirt. I'm taking one home, however. I like KSX T-shirts. They wear extremely well, and they look good on my body. Let's go to Hank.
The blue that they have on the T-shirt is not the best color for you.
It's not. No. Not Tar Heel blue, is it? I don't wear anything with Tar Heel blue. Is that Tar Heel blue? That's not. Okay. I don't wear anything that's got Tar Heels on it.
It's not a slimming color is what I'm trying to say.
I don't need that. Let's go to Hank in Columbia. Hank, how are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, Corn. How's it going?
We are great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was what I was calling about was the earlier discussion about the rankings, and just more so of the Alabama. I think Alabama gets up there second. I think they get the benefit of the doubt for a couple of reasons, Corn. I think one, the number of championships they've won in the last 4 or 5 years says that even when their schedule's backloaded, you still know that that's a team that could pretty much beat most anybody in the country. But the other thing that I kind of, if you're going to look at the Kelly Bryant being out, and that was one of the things that the committee used to put Clemson in the fourth, and I have no problem with that. But then for Alabama, Florida State is a much different team without Francois than they were coming into the season. And Alabama played them with Francois. So at the time, that was a much different team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were kicking Florida State pretty good at the time Francois went down. I mean, Alabama had that game under control when Francois was injured. Florida State's only hope, of course, was that he would stay healthy and he could lead a comeback. But, he goes down, and that pretty much doomed Florida State's season.
But you could even say the same thing about what Clemson did with Louisville. That Louisville team was a lot higher ranked and a lot better liked by the folks, at least around the country, than they are right now.
Yeah, and so I think that's why you can't really say Alabama didn't have a good win. It just happened that the team with the hurricane and everything else went to tank afterwards. But other than that, I think they get the benefit of the doubt because it's not like when they played in all these national championship games that they don't beat most of the teams they play. They got beat by Clemson last year, but even with that, after coming off a championship, it was in the last play of the game. So I think that's the cachet that you just can't ignore the committee.
Here's the thing that you could question the committee about, though, when it comes to Alabama. On the one hand, they said Clemson was ranked 4 because of strength of schedule, which is in the top 10.
6 wins over teams with winning records and 2 wins over teams in the top 25 of their rankings.
And Alabama's strength of schedule, 38. I mean, after Florida State, they played Fresno State, Colorado State,
garbage,
Vanderbilt,
garbage,
Ole Miss,
getting better but garbage,
Texas A&M,
very legit team,
Arkansas,
garbage,
and Tennessee,
hot garbage.
So they haven't really played a strong schedule to this point. I think the stats reveal that. Now, after an open date, they get LSU at home this weekend. I don't know if LSU can muster up much of a challenge. They go to Mississippi State on the 11th. Mississippi State's playing a lot better. Fitzgerald is doing his thing at quarterback, but I don't know. Do they have enough for Alabama?
I don't know. It's weird. It depends on which Mississippi State shows up. It'll be the one that showed up this past weekend or the one that showed up against Georgia and got beat 41-0 in that game.
And they go to Auburn to close it out in the regular season.
That's crazy.
So, okay, Hank, thank you, man. We appreciate your phone call. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Why don't we do recruiting? Anybody in here like recruiting? Yeah? We got some recruit nuts in here. Okay. Well, let's start with defensive back J.C. Horn of Alpharetta, Georgia, who was back at USC last Saturday and Sunday on an unofficial visit with his dad and a friend. Watched the Gamecocks beat Vanderbilt. He remains committed to Tennessee, but he said the visit to USC this time really gave him more to think about. Muschamp and Travaris Robinson. He likes what they're doing. He thinks there's a great opportunity in South Carolina. He thinks it's a program on the rise. He's building a relationship, he said, more and more with South Carolina. He feels like his relationship is very strong with them, especially with Muschamp and T-Rob. But, he's still committed to Tennessee and is still holding to that, and he doesn't have any plans to decommit right now. He does want to see what happens with the Tennessee coaching staff, but he feels very strong towards that coaching staff at Tennessee, in particular head coach Butch Jones. Now, he is going to go to Georgia Saturday, primarily to watch the Gamecocks. So that'll be another opportunity for him to watch the South Carolina defense. Clemson has been back in touch with him. In fact, they were in touch with him on Tuesday. He was actually going to go to Clemson for Georgia Tech before deciding to go to USC. He will take another visit to Clemson, possibly an official visit. He's also hearing from Georgia, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and others. He visited Ole Miss recently as well. 2019 linebacker Owen Popo, Loganville, Georgia, has Clemson in his final 3 with Georgia and Nebraska. We'll give you a couple of other notes when we come back.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
And we're back at the Wing Place in Aiken. East Pine Log Road is our location. Big crowd has turned out tonight for the annual Border Bash between the Gamecocks and Georgia. Who do y'all think is going to win on Saturday, this crowd? What do you think? Yeah, they're taking the Gamecock. Do you need the points? Do you want the points? Do you want the 24? I think you do.
I think you want the points. I would like the points.
Let me wrap up recruiting, and we'll move on. Offensive lineman Cade Mays of Knoxville, still a Tennessee commitment, but one of those that's looking around. He was at Clemson unofficially for the Georgia Tech game. Plans to return for an official for the Citadel game. Enjoyed everything about his Clemson visits. And he says he wants to win a national championship, so better not go to Tennessee. He plans
he's browsing, basically.
He plans to take unofficials to Georgia and Ohio State the next 2 weekends. Then he's got officials to Clemson and Tennessee the last 2 weekends of the month. Notre Dame is December 8th and Georgia December 15th. He will be a mid-year enrollee. Clemson target defensive back Brendan Radley Hiles of IMG Academy decommitted from Nebraska last night. He visits Clemson officially November 10th. He's also taking officials to Nebraska, Texas, and Oklahoma. One-time USC target, linebacker Rosendo Lewis of Deerfield Beach, Florida, said he hasn't heard from the Gamecocks since committing to Florida State in August. He took an official to Florida State 2 weeks ago. He might go to Arkansas this weekend. He did say he would be open to hearing from the Gamecocks. And USC today offered 2019 running back Eric Gray from Memphis. There you go with our recruiting. Of course, you can find it on our website, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting. Before we get back to phone calls and other good stuff, I want to welcome in a longtime friend of ours here at Sports Talk from our affiliate here in the Johnston-Aiken area, Oldies, 92.7 WKSX. He is Frank Davis, who I don't know what to call you. Big boss, director of everything.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Wash the windows, vacuum the floor, you know. We do a little bit of everything. It's a mom and pop operation for us.
Whatever's necessary.
You got it.
And it is beautiful, you know, in this day and age of corporate radio, and I got no problem with that because we're owned by a corporation.
Exactly.
But mom and pop radio, the local radio stations, it's still great to have that local ownership.
It is. Unfortunately, it's they're fewer and farther between.
Yeah.
You know, we're hanging in there.
How many years for you?
Gosh, I started working when I was in high school and did a little part-time work and went off to college and came back. So 40 plus.
Yeah, loved every day. I never really been to work, have you?
No, it's fun. It's fun. I love what I do. I really do, and it's always fun. There's never a day that's like the day before.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great, and we've got such a good operation.
No doubt.
Kind of radio in a nutshell. Every day is different.
That's right. You've got that, and Tony and I work together so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, I tell you what, one thing I love, I like to write a book, or maybe somebody's already written a book. Of course, I'm not a good writer, so maybe I should write a book.
Right.
But the stories of high school football radio stations and their play-by-play crews, man, I bet you there's some great stories out there. And you guys are part of that because you've been doing Strom Thurmond since
1961.
Yeah. And I imagine you've had to do it from your car, from the top of a press box, from a hill.
In the early days, we were an AM-only station, you know, so we would record the games on Friday night and play them back on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
1985, we got the FM frequency and started doing the games live from that point on.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Sometimes you go to a game and they have you all set up in a press box. Sometimes we've actually done a game sitting in the bleachers,
right?
Whatever works, but we get the game on the air.
You ever done a game from a flatbed of a trailer?
I've never done that.
I've done that.
I don't do the play-by-play now,
right.
but we've got a good
that one's bad.
But you've got play-by-play in your history, don't you?
Not me. No. I'm the one who gets all the advertising on there so we can have the play-by-play on the air. So
he gets the money. He's the heavy right there.
Money man.
Without me, it doesn't happen.
So what's coming up for you guys this weekend? High school football, college
football?
Is
at Dillon. You know, they are a 4 seed at a 1 seed.
Enjoy your trip.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
You know, he has some skin in that game, being, you know, from Latta.
There you go.
Well, I don't claim Dillon.
No, I'm saying that's a rival for you. Is what I'm saying. You want to see Strom Thurmond beat Dillon. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't want to wish any ill will towards Jackie Hayes, but it is Dillon.
It's going to be tough.
That's what I'm trying to say for you. I see you have some skin in the game for Strom Thurmond.
Well, I'm not betting on high school football.
Yeah. But the school
has personal skin.
The school has a rich tradition and has won many games. And, you know, the last few years have kind of tapered off a little bit, but they'll bounce back.
How is Coach Sawyer doing?
Saw him actually today at a restaurant in town. He's looking good. I think he spends a lot of time fishing and having some fun. Yeah,
with his good buddy.
Oh yeah. And he still is. He's done some substitute teaching out at Strom Thurmond High, and I think he goes out on football Fridays and helps line off the field and all that.
How about that?
So he's still kind of involved.
Well, listen, man, we want to thank you for your involvement with us and the radio station. It's
Appreciate
just for us, it's been a great relationship.
We go back
calling you guys
from day one.
Yeah,
day one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
One of the 11 original. You're still kicking.
That's right.
Just like we are.
Hanging in there.
We're going to kick for a long time.
Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you.
Frank.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Great seeing you.
Thanks.
Frank Davis from Oldies, 92.7 KSX. That is a powerhouse station.
I wasn't talking about betting on the high school football. You were the one who was trying to tell me. You were the one who actually informed me that they actually have lines on the South Carolina high school games.
I don't want to discuss that publicly.
Entertainment purposes.
Let's go back to our phones. Rob in Florence, you are with us next here on Sports Talk. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to talk a little bit about the playoffs. I think one of the biggest issues with the playoffs, with the rankings, with the teams now, I don't have a problem with Clemson being in the top 4. I believe they deserve it. But everybody gets caught up in the preseason rankings. That, you know, we rank teams 1 through 25 before they ever play a game. And just like in Auburn's case, you know, 2 weeks into the year, or Louisville's case, you know, they were number 15 or 16, and now they fell off the map. So everybody's talking about, well, at the time, we played, you know, 4 weeks into the season, we played number 16 Louisville or what have you. So that kind of throws a wrench into how everybody discusses who makes the playoffs. And I appreciate you taking the call, and I'll listen off.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rob, I've always been of the mind that they should not rank teams until either the start of conference play or until each team has played a conference game. I would say maybe the start of October should be the first time for any human polls of any kind, because it's just so distorted, especially when you look at all the preseason numbers and all that stuff.
But you're missing the entire point of the polls. The polls were created to give people something to talk about.
I don't think we need it.
In the past, they were a tool used to decide championships. That's not used anymore because you have the playoff now. And the playoff committee, this was wise when they designed this plan, they don't do their first poll until the end of October.
Correct.
So they've got plenty of information to look over and try to make the best decision possible.
But I think it provides a distorted data point, in my opinion, because, again, you're going off of what people had thought of at the beginning of the year, and you could even argue that a lot of the ranking system when it comes to the AP, especially with the coaches, is done off of reputations that are maybe 20 to 30 years old and have nothing to do about what a team has coming back or what they actually do during a season. They don't necessarily mean much when it gets down into maybe the month of October. That's when you start actually seeing those things actually being indicative of the way things are.
All right, let's go to Tippy over in Edgefield tonight, not far from us. Tippy, are you Tippy tonight, Tippy?
No, not necessarily. Borderback is Friday night, actually. They got a big old venue coming up. The mascots and the cheerleaders and all show up for all of that, so I'll say it's Friday.
We're still having fun tonight, Tippy. We still are.
This is Border Bash early edition.
That's right. That's right. This is a pregame party, right?
That's right. That's right.
I want to let you know it's because of Oldest KSS that I started listening to y'all. I was listening to them because I needed some music that I could understand and listen to, and then y'all started coming on, and I just never changed the channel.
Well, we all thank you for that.
Yes, sir. As far as recruiting goes, I want to welcome y'all to your first official in Edgefield, and hope that y'all come back, stay a little while as the years come on.
We plan to come back if they'll have us.
I was planning on being there tonight, but my work schedule changed, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But one day I may get to meet y'all. But I just want to tell y'all hello. Welcome to Edgefield and welcome to Aiken area, CSRA.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the phone call. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. We do appreciate the phone call.
Sorry about that work schedule, Tippy.
Absolutely. We'll be back. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. We're at the Wing Place.
We've had a lot of fun here, man.
In Aiken. Oh, yeah. The entire tour has been great with all the different people we've met, the different places that we have eaten. And this has to rank right up there at the very top. This, of course, is Sports Talk, made possible by your local electric cooperative, sponsor of the annual Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl. To find out more about what the co-ops are doing across the state, be sure to visit ecsc.org and save the date, December 9th, for the annual Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl.
We had somebody on our Twitter have a message for Corey Miller. She said he needs Valium.
Huh.
Oh, man, he hates Clemson. His language isn't great either. He doesn't represent you well, is what she has to say. This is from Cheryl.
Corey represents us extremely well. He's the pastor of pain.
Of course.
And he brings it.
And of course, now Brent also says that Sports Talk SC is all Clemson, and you can hear it on the radio bias. So
whatever.
Apparently, we have people on both sides who are.
We are biased toward the Pacers of USC. Aiken. Yes, indeed.
Look at you play to the crowd.
Aiken baseball coach Kenny Thomas has stopped by to visit with us. It's great to meet you, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you very much.
And what a great tradition of baseball coaches you have continued. You're closing in on 1,200 wins. That's amazing.
Yeah, that means you're getting old, I guess.
It means you're just getting better and better. That's what it means.
Well, it's been a lot. You know, I'll never forget the night I won my 1,000th game. And as I got, it really the press had talked a lot about it, and everybody was talking about it. And it hadn't hit me much until I got ready to walk out to home plate.
Played Flagler, I believe, that day.
That was Flagler, yep. And I was walking out to home. I got ready to leave the dugout with the lineup card. And all of a sudden, it just hit me. That's 1,500 times I've walked out there to home plate, and that kind of put it in perspective, And that night when we won the game, my family was here from Tennessee. It was a special night, but I got a text from Coach Tanner right after the game, and that meant a lot. He didn't have nothing else to do but check on me. But it really was. It was a special night, but it just means you've been around a long time, and people ask me all the time, how long are you going to go? My wife says he'll drag me off the field when I'm 85 years old. So that's probably
great.
About right.
And Coach Tanner, I mean, you think about the relationship you all have and the relationship that he has with coaches in this state, not just at the Division I level, but all over the place. He is, in a way, kind of like what Frank Martin does for basketball. He shepherds this sport in our state.
No doubt. 3 years ago, I get asked to speak at a lot of places, and I'd never preached at a church. I got asked to preach at one of the local big churches here, the Methodist Church, St. John's downtown, about 3 years ago. And I used Coach Tanner in my message that day. I put 6 people, their pictures up on the big screen before, and I had a quote from each one of them. And then I connected those 6 at the end. But, I remember telling those folks, even when they hired Monty at Clemson, Coach Tanner was in the middle of that a little bit. I had talked to Coach Tanner 3 or 4 days before that, and, he was even in the middle of that a little bit. So Coach Tanner's been an ambassador for baseball in this sport and in this state. And, he and I have been really good friends, and I cherish our friendship, and we like to tease each other. My wife calls us 2 old Calgers. I don't know if you know what a Calger is, but that's an old Tennessee
Believe me,
thing,
I've heard it a time or two. Your team for 2018, you've had your fall practice, I'm sure, and you're looking ahead to 2018. How's it shape up?
Well, we inter-squatted this afternoon. We've got one more on Friday. It was quite exciting today, 10-10, it ended up. But, it may be one of my better teams. I don't know. I was called yesterday by the guy that ranks the national teams, and he said, well, are you better than last year? And I said, what do you want me to say? I'm worse? Sure, I'm going to tell you we're better, but I think we're very deep on the mound. We had 30 scouts at Scout Day this year, 27 clubs, and 3 cross-checkers. So this is a good team. It's very experienced and very talented. So we'll see. If I don't mess them up, maybe we'll be all right.
When do you open your season, and who's your season opener against?
We have a tradition here in Aiken. We play Lincoln Memorial University every year, opening weekend, and it'll be first weekend of February.
February 2nd, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, February 2nd. We'll play Lincoln Memorial. And
probably be 85 degrees and slight wind from the southeast.
It doesn't matter to me. Yeah. It'll be 85
this is great baseball weather to practice in here in October, November.
My wife reminded me this morning that tomorrow is the saddest day of the year. It's the worst day of the year tomorrow.
Because?
Baseball ends tonight.
Oh, yeah. That's who you picking tonight?
Well, I mean, I'm sentimental toward Houston a little bit. I was kind of one of those guys that was wanting the Dodgers and the Yankees to play in the series, and I have to pull for the Yankees, or I can't. I have to sleep on the couch. My wife loves the Yankees, but
you can come share my couch. I mean,
I know, but I'm sentimental now a little bit with Houston. You know, I'd like to see them win tonight. I don't know, it's going to be tough. I think, aren't they pitching Kershaw tonight?
They're going to try to pitch him in relief if they absolutely need him. So,
you know, a one-time Gamecock signee is the starting shortstop for the Dodgers.
Yeah,
he's having a great series and a great year.
Seager, yes.
Yeah, they got. You know, isn't it funny how the pitchers have now started saying the ball's juiced?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
the weather is too slick or something like that to throw a slider, that kind of thing.
I pulled that today. I get some practice balls. The Payco League out in Texas every year. I know the owner of the league, and every year he sends me a bunch of balls that I use for practice balls. They're Robbins, really good balls. At the end of his season, he sends me a bunch of balls. So tonight I pulled the Payco balls out this afternoon to play, and we go 10-10. I said, I told y'all those balls, they're juiced.
That's funny.
Juiced, so.
Kenny, thank you so much for coming by. We wish you all the best of luck this year.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Coach Kenny Thomas, baseball coach at USC Aiken, with us here on Sports Talk as we come to you from the Wing Place in Aiken. Good luck, Coach, getting to number 1,200, coming fast in his career. Let's go to Mark in Aiken. We continue with your phone calls on this Wednesday. Hey, Mark, welcome to Sports Talk.
Hey, Phil, thanks for taking my call, buddy. I do appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question about the playoffs. And let me preface it by saying this. I realize there's a load of football left, and chaos is going to ensue more often than not between now and the end of the year. But how much are they placing on the conference games at the end? And I'm not saying that Notre Dame is not a really good team. I'm not saying that at all. But if you put them in, you're going to potentially have 2, maybe more teams that get left out because they have to play one more game, and you're not putting emphasis on that conference game. And I mean, it all comes down to it's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of opinion. The 4th best, the 4 most deserving, or whatever. And I think there's going to come a time when they have to go to a conference winners only playoff and take all the opinion out of it. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Are they diminishing the conference play? Are they diminishing the conference games at all if they stay the way that it is now?
Well, here's what Notre Dame has left. They got Wake Forest, Miami, Navy, and Stanford left. So I would say Miami, and then the game at Miami, it's the old Catholics versus convicts game. That's the probably biggest game left on their schedule. So that'll at least give them a boost at the end of the year. But I've always been a fan of, moving it to 8 teams. You get each of the Power 5 conferences represented with their conference champion, and then you get 3 at-larges. So then you have room for a Notre Dame, or you have room for a second SEC team, or one of these other schools maybe in the group of 5 that can get themselves in with an undefeated year. That way, at least in my mind, gives you coverage, if you will, in a way that 4 does not.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be absolutely fair about it and take subjectivity out of it, then you only take winners of conference championship games. If you are set up in such a way where everybody, like you're mentioning, and I don't disagree with you, if you're going to go to 8 and you want to take conference champions, then you take the winners of the conference championships. So you're talking about 3 at-large bids as well. So there'll be some subjectivity in that too. Maybe there's a way that they can arrange it like a basketball tournament for the championship games, such that only the winners of those championship games advance. Now, you're going to have some people say, well, if you're undefeated and you're losing the championship game and you've had a great year, you should still be able to get to the playoffs. Well,
that's what the at-large is for.
Well, but then you're trying to eliminate opinion from it, like Mark was suggesting. Get the opinion out of it and let teams win their way into the playoffs.
Don't know if you'll ever be able to take away the opinion of it, though.
Well, that's part of the beauty of college football, too. It is the discussion about who should be in and who is not deserving of being in. All right, we've got to hit a break. We'll be right back.
We're not in. We're out right now.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
We have had a great time tonight here in Aiken. The folks here are just great, as we know. Been to Aiken several times, played the Palmetto course, not too far from here off Whiskey Road.
My first time, I'm real impressed.
Well, this town is beautiful.
I'm very impressed.
Aiken is horse country. It's golf country. You're right across from Augusta National, across the river. So this is a wonderful part.
Oh, they're doing the Gamecock call and response chant. How about that?
I hear that. Well, it's a Gamecock crowd. They're getting ready for Georgia on Saturday, and we'll see if that enthusiasm will carry over to the game on Saturday.
We're up to 3 Clemson fans, by the way. I saw a third.
That's okay. You know what? Their money's green, is it not? They've come in here to eat and spend some money, and the folks here at the Wing Place appreciate it. The coaches,
we keep them all in one place because we don't want to reproduce any more Clemson fans, right?
The SEC women's preseason poll from the coaches came out today, and USC is number 1 by the SEC coaches, ahead of Mississippi State, Missouri, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. The preseason player of the year, of course, is Asia Wilson from USC.
And why wouldn't she be?
Now, the men's AP preseason top 25 came out today, and Duke is picked number 1 ahead of Michigan State, Arizona, Kansas, and Kentucky.
Did you see that South Carolina got 1 vote in the AP poll?
I did not see that.
They got 1 vote, and the one person who voted, you're going to have to send this guy a gift basket if you're a Gamecock men's basketball fan. The man's name is David Cobb. He covers the Tennessee Volunteers for the Chattanooga Times Free Press. He's the lone person who voted the Gamecocks in the AP Top 25 poll. He had them ranked 25th, so he might get a gift basket from some Gamecock men's basketball fans this year.
Speaking of basketball, I meant to mention this in recruiting, but Zion Williamson in Spartanburg continuing with his process. Today, North Carolina and Kentucky, according to a report on 247 Sports, their head coaches were due in for another in-home visit. Clemson was in yesterday. Kansas was in as well. I don't think South Carolina has been back in on him. Of course, he's coming off an official visit to North Carolina. Should be getting close to making his decision if he's going to sign early. The early signing period is a week from today. It starts November 8th. So we'll see what happens with him. Really the most talked about, or one of the most talked about basketball players ever to come out of the state of South Carolina. Also today, the College Football Playoff Committee announced future sites. So if you're making plans for your team for the national championship game, they announced 3 more host cities. 2021 will be Miami. 2023 will be Los Angeles.
2022 is Indianapolis.
Yeah, 2022 is Indianapolis. So they announced 4 cities along with Indianapolis. Yeah. In 2024 will be Houston. So Miami, Indianapolis, Los Angeles, and Houston. The next 4 in the rotation.
It's a long way to get back to Houston.
Of course, this year is Atlanta, which should be fine if, I know the folks here don't want to hear this, but listen, if Clemson makes it to the national championship game.
Easier on our travel budget.
They're playing in Atlanta, very short trip.
It allows us to save money for when the Gamecocks go somewhere far away. How about that?
Well, they might just go to Charlotte.
Well, they could.
The way it's going. Speaking of the Gamecocks, Jake Bentley, he knows he's going to be under duress to some degree in Athens, but if he can settle down early and get off to a good start, it might bode well for a big game from him.
It certainly should, and he had one of his best games on Saturday against Vanderbilt. Talked about the upcoming test against Georgia, which he calls a great opportunity for South Carolina.
I think it's definitely an opportunity to to show the country, how hard we've worked and what we've been able to overcome from 2 seasons ago. But we're not treating it any different at practice or in the meeting room. We'll continue to practice the right way. We're going to continue to be really locked in what we do in our preparation as far as in the meeting room, and then just go out there and execute on the field.
Jake, how important will it be just to be able to maintain drives, be able to keep the defense out there, the Georgia defense that is, and being able to give your own defense rest, knowing that Georgia has some bruisers back there that can run the football, being able to get your defense up, able to rest them up a little bit.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a team effort on Saturday to really play complementary football. We got to stay on the field and move the ball. for us to have a chance. We can't turn it over. We can't put our defense in bad situations. And they have a big task ahead of them. They're really locked in today at practice. They really locked in this week as far as their meeting room and their preparation. So it's going to be a fun game. We definitely have to play team ball.
Do you think you guys were able to kind of hone in on something, on some sort of confidence against Vanderbilt, not only with the way you ran the football, but just the kind of balance you guys were able to show?
Yeah, I think we just really, like you said, honed in of what we're good at, and we continued to run the plays that we're good at, and they worked, and we moved the ball. We didn't try to do too much. We stuck to our game plan the whole game, and it was a great one. That was a great game plan created by Coach Roper and the coaching staff, and we really just continued to follow that, and it worked out for us.
Kind of going off that question, what was working so well in the run game on Saturday versus Vanderbilt, and what do you have to do to carry that over this Saturday against Georgia?
Getting outside. We were able to get around some blocks, and AJ and Tyson and Mon did a great job of making explosive plays. Making a couple cuts, breaking a few tackles, and just keeping the ball rolling. And then we're able to, on 3rd and short, we were able to get some movement and pick up those first downs, and that's very important. And we got to do the same this week. We got to be able to run it through in between the tackles and move the ball and stay balanced. So a good defense like Georgia doesn't just hone in to one thing.
Jake, what stands out to you about this Georgia defense, and I guess what's the focus going in to kind of counteract what they do?
Yeah, just they have a great front seven. Their defensive ends and their linebackers and their defensive tackles do a great job of in the run game and getting pass rush. They're great. They're a great defense. I mean, you can look at the numbers and they'll back them up for them. But we just got to be efficient. We got to be able to move the ball. We got to be able to stay on the field, not put our defense in bad situations, and then just continue to move the ball and execute at a high level.
All right, USC quarterback Jake Bentley. They really need him Saturday to settle in early, avoid the turnover. He's done a nice job of not throwing interceptions. If he can complete some of the passes that will be available, he's completing 61%, and that's good. I don't think it's great by college standards. You like to be 65 to 70%.
Right.
And he misses some open guys, especially early. If he can connect with Hurst, if he can connect with Brian Edwards on some of those early passes to get some confidence going, eat some clock, and move them down the field, a good start when they win the toss and take the football to start the game and go down the field and score, which means if you took the 24, you'll be up by 31.
You want to take
That's the way I look at it. You take the 24, you score, you're up by 31. That's money in the bank.
You mentioned Hayden Hurst. Hayden had more targets thrown his way than any receiver on the Gamecock team. He had, I think, about 7 targets, and he caught 4 of them. So they made a concerted effort to get the football to him early and often. I think that was the first time they really actually almost kind of forced their way to try to get the ball to Hayden Hurst. He needs to be a big part of the offense, but I think also, too, you need to use the running back passing game, too, out of the backfield. You need to get A.J. Turner and Tyson Williams involved out of the backfield. Anything to be able to stretch Georgia thin, sideline to sideline, kind of do what Vanderbilt did to South Carolina's defense last week, try to make that work against Georgia.
Yeah, but I tell you what, this Georgia defense, it's a cut above. I mean, they're right up there with the very best in the country.
No one's calling them soft corn, but you have to make the things happen if you are to make a win.
Well, sometimes a great defense, like we've seen with Clemson over the years, imposes its will. South Carolina's just going to have to stand up and not let them do that early on. That's why an early strike, I think, would be in their favor.
It's going to be hard to be back in our studio, a little depressing to be alone because we had such a great crowd here today. Thank you guys so much for having us. We really loved having you, and we really love being here with you as well.
Well, they had us.
They had us. We enjoyed being with you.
And we remind everybody that we're at the Wing House.
Wing Place,
which is a good house for wings. Here in Aiken. Come out. I'm sure if you're in this area, you know all about the Wing Place, 738 East Pine Log Road. And thanks to everybody at WKSX, Oldies 92.7.
Try the Wang Wang Shrimp.
Frank and Tony, great job. And we'll see you back in Columbia tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.